Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
I'm Amir.
and welcome to the Mustard Cast, the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we'll start with what media we're consuming. You can start.
I'm trying to think. Hold on. I got Hulu, so I've been watching the X Files a lot. One of the best shows in American television history, and more people need to watch it because it was amazing, and it was extremely popular back in the '90s when it came out, obviously. Um, but like it's still good. It still holds up. I started reading Saga because a friend of mine has been insisting that I read Saga, and it's really good. Very Game of Thronesy. Not at all for children, even like a little bit. Um, it's pretty good though. Definitely don't get attached to any characters because I'm on like issue 30. So there's like a 54. It's 54 issues. I'm on issue 30 something, and so far only like five characters from the beginning of this series have survived, and there's been like a lot of characters introduced. Like they kill off characters left and right. Um, but that's been really good. X Files. I'm watching Fresh Prince of Bel Air because obviously I think I might have said that on pod once, but like yeah, I really like that show. I've been watching that show like crazy. I'm binge watching that show. Like I'm on end of season two now. What else? What else? What else? What else? I know there's more. I'm just blanking on it right now. I've been playing Destiny because the new season came out, and I got the season pass, and I'm really happy about it. And I finally, just like super late last night, finally beat a quest that had taken me like all week. Finally did it, and it turns out it's a weekly thing, so I can keep grinding it every week and get a full armor set, and I'm really happy about that. Uh, there's something else. I've been playing a lot of Splitgate. I'm playing a lot of Lethal League Blaze. Everybody should play Lethal League Blaze. It's amazing. And I actually started to get really good at it. Just this morning, I beat the arcade mode, which I hadn't been able to beat because it was really hard. And like, there's like a mirror match right before the last round, and the mirror match every time I was positive that that thing had like been programmed to always win. Like it was just like, no, like there's no possible way this computer can be catching the ball at this quick a speed. Like there's no way. And then obviously I can't recatch the ball at this place. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. And I started playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider again because I got a giant 2 terabyte hard drive for my PS4, so I started downloading like a bunch of old games. So I decided to complete Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and I swear that there's more, and I just can't remember like at all.
I'm
So
trying
I'm
to
just let you
remember
go.
when I got that my 2 terabyte hard drive because I remember when it happened. It was like I had just got a game and I started downloading it, and then I realized there wasn't enough space. I think it was when so it was like super earlier this year, which feels weird because it doesn't feel like this was that long ago. But it was when Little Nightmares 2 came out, I think. And I was downloading Little Nightmares 2, and then I realized I didn't have enough space. And like that night, I had like ordered on Amazon a 2 terabyte hard drive. I had Amazon Prime. So it literally came that night at like 10 o'clock. And I went and formatted it and had to transfer stuff and all that jazz. Because I realized I didn't have enough space. And then I reformatted my old 1 terabyte hard drive to be used to hold all of my files from the computer. But yeah. Is that all you got?
Pretty sure.
Yeah. So I've been watching Stargirl. It's been pretty good so far. This first season was fun as well. Uh Titans has been really, really good. I'm
I
still
haven't seen the new
I'm
episode.
still so surprised how good it is, man. Episode 5. Was it 5 or 4? I think it was 5, yeah. Episode 5
Five.
five was really good. Oh my god. I think it was the best episode of the season so far. I loved it. I'm watching What If. That's also been pretty good. The last episode was really interesting.
Also haven't
Um,
seen that.
as the show goes along, they it gets more like the changes get more substantial. I don't know if you know what like the future episodes hold in terms of what ifs, but there's one in particular I'm really waiting for, but I don't want to say it if it's going to be a spoiler for you.
I mean, I'm not that interested in the show. It's not gonna
Um,
matter.
one of the episodes is going to be what if Ultron actually got into Vision's body, and I'm really excited for
That
that.
should be an interesting one.
I've been watching kind of funny on their YouTube channel. Kind of funny play Metal Gear. All they're playing through two of them have never played any of the Metal Gear games, and they're playing through them in order. So they played the first one, and they're currently on the second one, and like one more stream they'll be done with the second one. And it's so good. As I'm watching them play the first one, I really want to play the second and third one because the second and third one in like a collection is on Xbox, and a fourth one can only be played through PS Now on a PS4 or PS5, or if you just own a PS3 and Metal Gear Solid 4, which Metal Gear Solid 4 was the first Metal Gear I ever played, and I still own it on PS3, but my PS3 is trash. It overheats in like 5 seconds now. Whenever I play, like I tried to play Metal Gear at one point like years ago, and it overheated so quickly. I was like, wow, this thing is done. But yeah, I want to. I have never played the first three. Um, and I want to check it out now because after watching them play it, it's dated, but not dated enough to where I wouldn't want to play it at all. And the story holds up so well. It holds up surprisingly well, and the subject matter, as well as the level of depth in the gameplay in the second game, is ridiculous in comparison to even a lot of games that come out today. It makes no sense how revolutionary Kojima was as a game developer. Um, but on Game Pass, speaking of Xbox, I've been playing. I played 12 minutes, which is really fun. It's been really controversial because it has a twist that bothers some people, and it's a very hit or miss game. Either like in terms of reviews, a lot of people either love it or hate it. It's great. I love it. It's so divisive, but it's a really I personally really liked it. Some people, a reason some people disliked it is because it was frustrating, but that's kind of part of the game because you're playing as a person who is frustrated because they're stuck in a time loop. So if you get frustrated because you're stuck in a time loop, that's kind of the point. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I'm excited to see where either this particular developer goes if they make a sequel or make another game just similar to it, because I feel like this type of game is really fun. And I was imagining a version of this where because I was watching a channel on YouTube called Did Meat where they do this series called Kill Count where they go through horror movies and count the kills. And
I watch them a lot.
yeah, the first series they did, I watched them when they started back in like I think like 2017. One of the very first series they did was Friday the 13th, and he's redoing the Friday the 13th videos because before they were like 7 minutes long, and he likes to go nowadays he likes to go into the detail of like the production history. So he's redoing them and going into the details of the production history. He's done the first three so far. He's doing them weekly every Friday. He started Friday the 13th. um, but yeah, and it made me think of what if there was one where the whole point is that you're being chased by a Jason or like Michael Myers like killer, and you have to figure out how to get away from them or how to defeat them. I feel like that would be really interesting. On Game Pass, I've also been playing Hades, which I wasn't sure if I was gonna like the combat. I knew I liked the story, I knew I liked the characters, but I wasn't sure how I felt about the combat. And then I started playing it, and I realized I really, really like it. I still say don't knock until you try it. If you ever get a PC or an Xbox and you ever subscribe to Game Pass and if Hades is still on Game Pass, I would implore you to at least try it once to see if it's your type of thing. But
I'm good.
but I mean, if you ever decide to subscribe to Game Pass, it can't hurt to try it.
I mean, like it could take up storage space,
Yeah, but
but I can use it for other stuff.
yeah, and you could delete it if you don't like it. Like it's not that hard. But like I've
I'll
also
tell you, I'll give it one try.
yeah, it's been really fun. I escaped at like my 25th attempt. It was really fun. I've also on Game Pass been playing Dishonored, Death of the Outsider.
That reminded me.
Yeah, I only played the first mission before I stopped playing it. It's been fun so far. I'm excited to see where that goes. And I don't usually, well, it depends. It varies from game to game. Because Resident Evil games, well, specifically Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, I didn't read any of the documents. But in Resident Evil 8, I read every single document I found because they were very interesting. But in Dishonored, I don't usually read the documents because I don't really care too much. But I've been reading the documents in Death of the Outsider, and they've been interesting so far. I kind of want because a lot of documents you've played all of the games except for the DLC of 2, and Like some of the documents are like books, like chapters of a book. And I don't know if they've ever released like just that as an actual book. If they did, I would love to read it.
They
um,
haven't, but you can find them in chapters. The only Dishonored books they have are the comic series and the one that takes place in between, like the novel that takes place in between the first game and the second game. Both of those are really good, though. You should check them out.
yeah, so last weekend I babysitted my little brother again, and we continued playing It Takes Two. And the last stretch of the we're not in the last stretch of the game. The last stretch of the game that we played was incorporated some gameplay elements that I want to talk about later that were really interesting. And last but not least, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, the Iki Island expansion. That's been fun so far. More Ghost is always great. Um, they didn't add much in terms of like combat. They added a horse rush, so you can rush people on your horse and like knock them over.
That's cool.
That's been cool. But it's mostly just additional story, and that's good enough for me because I just want to murder people and learn more. We're learning more about Jin's father, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's all I got. Moving on to animation. First thing I want to talk about is so HBO Max is making a Fiona and Cake Adventure Time series. I don't know if you were into Adventure Time. I loved it.
I was at one point, and then I stopped being into Adventure Time.
Yeah, at some point I had stopped watching it, but then I decided to watch the very last episode. I was honestly got real emotional watching that last episode. I was like, it felt like a part of my childhood was going away. It was really nice to watch. I also have been watching the Distant Lands. There's one episode left, and the next episode is going to be focused on Peppermint Butler. That should be very interesting. Yeah,
Peppermint Butler was always my second favorite character, right behind Gunther. So
yeah, I really like. I always liked Adventure Time. I feel like my memories are always of the first 3 seasons because at one point my friend Craig let me borrow. He had all the first 3 seasons on DVD, so those were the only episodes that I remember watching mostly, other than obviously watching reruns occasionally on Cartoon Network when I was younger. But also Cartoon Network is supposedly creating a branch of their studio called Cartoon Network Max that will be focused on making a series for kids 13 plus, one of which will potentially be a new Ben 10 series that I hope is actually good, because I loved Ben 10 when I was a kid, and it went a weird direction. It went the Teen Titans Go direction, except that I don't think it's nearly as interesting. Maybe for little kids it is, but
I haven't seen the new show yet, but I used to follow Ben 10 really close. Now I don't, because I saw the new show and I was like, that doesn't look good.
It wasn't for me. I hope the new one is a little bit more similar to the old one, basically. Yeah, so moving on to comics. Just talk a tad bit more about Tim Drake. So I was watching a comic story and video where he covered that the most recent Urban Legends, and he said something that really struck with me. He said, representation always matters to the readers, but it never tends to matter to the story. They're very that can be seen a lot. I feel like it's seen more in Marvel than it is DC, because I feel like Marvel is always trying to make things diverse, but they never do it in a way that really works very well. Like, I feel like you got a few examples like Kamala Khan and Miles Morales that really work well. But I feel like in terms of just how often they do it the most in terms of, between DC and Marvel. And because they do it so much.
They definitely do it the most.
Yeah, because
I can't say they miss more.
Because they do it so much, they have more misses because they just do it more than DC does.
I'm trying to think about all the misses that I can. The only real misses that I can think of when it comes to that is probably the new Warriors thing that still hasn't come out, but everybody's been dreading it coming out, and it still hasn't come out for some reason, which is, I wonder if they're ever going to bring it out. But that's really the only miss that I can think of. I'm trying to think of all the diverse changes they made.
I feel like where DC does it is when they race swap characters in alternate universes, but nobody really cares because it's an alternate universe, and they just
say nobody cares, but everybody in comment sections every time. It gets so irritating. I just stop arguing with people over that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, bro.
I also watched a video from a YouTuber named Comic Drake, where he.
I love Comic Drake.
Yeah, he made a video titled "Robin is Bi" and people are mad, and he essentially went through showing how, and I don't read as much, Tim Drake comics as you do, but essentially that he's low key been very. shown to be kind of bi for a very long time, or at least very sus. Like in a lot of comics. And I was like, that's interesting. And also I told you before, I'm getting interested in reading some more stories with Tim Drake in it. And I told you the other night that I was going to start reading the 2003 Teen Titans. But as our resident Tim Drake fanboy, do you have any suggestions?
Any suggestions of reading material
Yeah.
for Tim Drake? Okay, so 2003 Teen Titans, I guess. I don't know. That was very meh as a series to me. I know a lot of people love it. It wasn't the best to me.
I was about to say, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I'll like it because most people like it.
Young Justice, absolutely the original Young Justice series. Um, Robin, which was the first ever Robin series. I don't understand why DC won't do more with Tim Drake because it makes no sense why they won't do more with Tim Drake because he was literally the first Robin to get a solo series. But the first Robin solo series is very, very, very good. It starts off a little slow because for some reason Chuck Dixon is very strange when he writes, and sometimes he'll make amazing stuff, and sometimes it. Did you ever read his Birds of Prey like before Gail Simone took over?
Like, was it like, I'm trying to think. Because I remember at some point I was looking up some Birds of Prey comics.
It was the first. It was the first ever Birds of Prey series.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, no,
She took over around like issue 50 something, which is what I've been trying to get to because you know I love Black Canary.
Yeah, that's the only reason I want to read Birds of Prey as well.
I'm struggling so hard to get to even issue 50 because some of his writing is just absolutely terrible.
What's an example? Like, is he like, is it just?
I want to say one, he doesn't know how to write women.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it in general bad writing, or is he just like Masashi Kishimoto?
No, it is in general bad writing as well. But one, he doesn't know how to write women because I was also reading the 2001 Batgirl series, and like I have a lot of. I'll complain to you about that off pod because I don't really think a lot of my complaints about it are very appropriate for on pod. But there's a lot.
I assume it's a lot of like sexist type stuff. Like it's
not exactly, but like it's really hard to explain. Okay, wait, the way he treated Birds of Prey was literally he was writing.
I want you to get it after you finish talking about Birds of Prey.
Okay,
if it's inappropriate, we'll cut around it.
Okay, he was writing almost every single Bat Family series at one point. Like almost every single Bat. Like he was writing Batman, he was writing Nightwing, he was writing, which his Nightwing run is amazing. Which is why when I went back and started reading other comics from him, I was appalled. He was writing Nightwing, he was writing Robin, he was writing Batgirl, he was writing Birds of Prey. I think he might have been writing something else. So in Batman, so you know the Batman feud arc, right?
You said the feud?
Batman or Bruce Wayne Fugitive?
No.
It's where he's framed by David Kane for killing girlfriend. No. And then the whole Bat family starts going on this whole thing where they're like, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. They don't really know if he did it or not. There's that. There's the Joker Last Laugh series, which really should have nothing to do with Birds of Prey at all, but for some reason was like a pretty huge, continued 3-issue arc in the Birds of Prey series. Actually, you remember me telling you about the issue where it was Tim Drake, Black Canary, and Blue Beetle, and they were fighting Condiment King, and I was like, I want this to be in so many new comics, and I love this team up, and yada yada. Yeah, that was part of that whole scene, or that was part of that whole arc. I feel like he used Birds of Prey to just kind of like supplement the work that he was doing in other series. Like his entire Birds of Prey was just his runoff. Like everything was like, oh, this can't feasibly fit into this series. Oh, we'll just run it off in Birds of Prey. And I'm like, no, because none of the characters. I love Black Canary. Literally my third favorite DC character of all time. If I didn't know who Black Canary was, if I didn't understand like her personality and her character and stuff, I would never have gotten a good grasp of what her character is like, because Chuck Dixon doesn't have a good grasp of what her character is like, because he just writes like she's a blank slate every issue. Like every new issue, she's a completely different person.
Yeah, for me, if it was me, I honestly would have straight to the point to where the new writer took over. I would not have cared.
I want to, but my fear is that Gail Simone continues something that Chuck Dixon started on, and I'm like, now I'm not gonna understand. I'm gonna have to go back, and I'm gonna have to read it. That's my only problem is I'm
Like,
like
you
I
cross
would
that
skip ahead.
you cross that bridge when you get there. You have to try it before you get out.
I'm like I was this close to jumping through, and then Dinah. No, I don't know if I've ever complained to you about it, but I complained to a lot of my friends about it. It's like hypersexuality in comics, not just for women. It goes for men too. It just goes unnoticed for men because people are like, I don't know, we have a more sexist society here or whatever, but like it goes unnoticed for men. But like when a male comic book character sleeps with like a new woman every issue, like it's noticed. At least I notice it. And they're making Black Canary do the same thing, and I'm like,
Why?
thank you. I'm like, it's unneeded. Like
Like a
I
character like
don't
Black Widow,
understand
it
it.
makes sense, but why Black Canary?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like there was like one. No,
Like
I
I
can't
was
even say she
actually
slept with him, but
I actually watched a comic Drake video recently. He was going like every person that
Black Widow.
and that I said Black Canary, I meant Black Widow. And yeah,
Yeah,
now I see why you were on that whole Winter Soldier and Black Canary train in terms of like the first Black Widow movie should have been about her, and Winter Soldier should have been in the place of Taskmaster. And
Taskmaster. Yeah,
now I'm with you. Now I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
you know what? That would have been really cool. And also, I didn't realize she had such a long lasting relationship with Daredevil.
Their relationship was weird.
Oh yeah,
It was weird.
based on that video, he made it very clear that that relationship was weird.
Yeah, it gets weirder when you look at like Black Widow 2014, which is my favorite Black Widow series. But like, there's this guy, and he like can show you like your largest desire or like your best desire or biggest desire, and her biggest desire was like on a boat with Daredevil, like going down the Hudson or whatever. And I'm like, and literally like 3 issues later in the series, she's like talking about talking to Bucky like, oh, we had history, but yada yada yada. I'm like, okay, so literally like the real love of your life, you're talking to like 3 issues later, but like in your what? Like I don't know, it didn't make sense. But where was I? Black Canary, Black Canary. We're
Black
going on a whole Harry
Canary,
Potter here. There's like
you're talking
15
about
Harry Potters going
you're
on
talking
at
about always
once.
sexualizing like characters, and you're talking about Black Canary sleeping with a bunch of men or whatever.
Yeah, okay. I can I don't know. I can't even say she slept with every no. But she absolutely definitely like flirted her way through like half a series in ways that were just like that's kind of demeaning and doesn't need to happen. Like I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, like even at that point, she and Oliver had broken up, but I'm like, she's still in love with Oliver. Like, why is she literally flirting with every new person that comes her way? It was it's a weird series, and she falls in love like 5 times. She fell in love with Ra's al Ghul. She fell. I'm not even joking. Not even because apparently she didn't know who Ra's al Ghul was. And apparently, when Barbara tried to tell her that it was Ra's al Ghul, she was like, "No, that can't be Ra's al Ghul," and then went off and almost got married to Ra's al Ghul. That's actually how she got her canary cry back. It was really weird. She had Bane fall in love with her. She had, yeah, I'm not even sure about that either. She fell in love with some Viking from like the old Scandinavian era because apparently she accidentally went back in time, or she sent Cheshire back in time, and then she went back in time to go like grab Cheshire and bring her back to the present. And she fell in love with some Scandinavian king or whatever back then, and then he was in love with her the whole time. So like they found it was a weird.
That's weird. Okay,
It
get on to the Batgirl stuff.
okay,
I want to know what you're talking about.
so with Batgirl, I feel like Chuck Dixon doesn't know what to do with her. Like he didn't know every issue was something different, sort of in the sense of like Birds of Prey. It wasn't as wild and weird as Birds of Prey. Like she didn't go back in time or anything. But like every new issue was like something completely different. There was no story arc for her. There's no character development for her past like the first 5 issues. She literally learns to speak because a psychic like touches her mind and like translates all like the physical movement into words, and then she can't fight anymore because she doesn't know how to fight because she lost that ability. And that's when she goes and she meets Lady Shiva.
This is
And like,
Andrew Kane. I thought you were going to be talking about Barbara Gordon.
oh no. Well,
You didn't specify who. You just
no,
said
I can say I can say I like Babs in the series. I do like Babs in the series. She's actually really cool. But like Cass is like
yeah. I
a really
remember
weird like
I was just reading her wiki one day, and I read that at some point she like had the ability to speak, but then lost her fighting ability. And I was like, what?
yeah, like a psychic, literally a psychic or like some metahuman psychic or something was running from the mob, And Bad Girl was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go save him." She goes and she saves him, and then he like can't hear her because he's always like mind reading, reading people's minds to communicate. They can't understand what she's saying, so then he like translates her words into like or her actions into words, and then she loses her ability. She gains the ability to speak, but loses the ability to fight. I'm like, that's the weakest cop out to have her begin to speak that I've ever seen in a comic. Like that's
What was like the stuff that you talking about that you thought would be inappropriate?
Okay, so there's quite literally an arc where she like just turned 18 and she's learning what hormones are and she's learning like, oh,
18.
yeah, she started out, she was 17 when the series first started and she turned 18 in like, I don't remember what issue. But she finds out what hormones are and then she gets horny and then because she's Cassandra Cain and doesn't know how to deal with that, she falls in love with some like terrorists from like Asia and then like helps him and then she goes on a cruise and makes her wear a bikini like a really skimpy bikini but Cass doesn't want to so she changes and then she meets what's his name, Superboy, and then the terrorist is also on the boat so then she thinks she fell in love with the terrorist and then she thinks she fell in love with Connor, not yeah, Connor, and then she gets confused because like it's just hormones, she's not really in love with either of them and then she gets confused. It's so weird. There's like such weird subtext. It's kind of gross to read. Like I'm like reading it like I don't want to read this
That
anymore.
is
Like
definitely
this is
something. That is definitely something that's steeped in it's sexism.
like I was like I don't want to read this anymore. Can I stop now? Like
That's
this.
very weird. Okay,
She
so
and Superboy
speaking
had
of
a pretty interesting.
Black Canary, so moving on TV and film, supposedly Misha Green, the writer of a writer on Lovecraft Country, who I also talked to you about before, that's writing a Tomb Raider script, is supposedly writing a script for a Black Canary movie. Um, and I don't think she's officially been slated to do so, but she's doing it, and she wants HBO to be like, "Hey, let me make this Black Canary movie with Johnny Smollett. I will never call it Smollett." Um, and yeah, I'm interested in it because I really like Lovecraft Country. The reason I think the Tomb Raider movie could be really good is because I don't know if you've gotten there yet, but episode 4 has an episode that's very much Indiana Jones like.
Oh no, I'm on episode 9 now.
Oh yeah,
I
so
forgot to tell you, I started watching with my friend Marcus. Yeah, I'm on episode 9 now.
you've seen it then. I was like that episode, I really liked it. I feel every episode switches the genre and it's good. It's cool. Um, but yeah, I think that are there only like 10 episodes?
There are only 10 episodes, unfortunately. But hopefully, with all these nominations,
Yeah,
hopefully,
I hope they get a season 2 because that show is really good. I don't know why my neck is itching so much. Oh my god. Um, but yeah, then some people are upset that it supposedly might be only on HBO Max, because naturally it could potentially lose money. But I feel like when it's only on streaming services, it tends to get more attention as long as the advertising is just as well as it would be if it was in theaters, because it's more likely for somebody to sit in their living room and watch it than to go out in the theater and watch it. Especially, well, by the time this comes out, hopefully, if I'm being hopeful, the pandemic would have been over. But so maybe that would be different. But yeah,
it's not going to be over by next week, unfortunately.
I mean, it's not like it's coming out next week.
Oh, wait. I thought you meant, never mind, never mind. I
No,
was
I'm talking
confused by what
about
you were
this
saying.
movie that is in the writing stage and hasn't even become filming yet. But
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about something else.
speaking of something that's coming out soon, Cowboy Bebop, the Netflix live action, they released some stills and gave us a release date. It's premiering November 19th on Netflix, and since it's coming out so soon, I'm expecting a trailer within the next 2 months. It's definitely a COVID thing, but we're in this weird state where something will be coming out tomorrow and we only get a trailer for it today, and it happens so often and it gets on my nerves. Like Spider-Man, I feel like with Spider-Man they were just waiting for Loki to end. But like, bruh, these movies and shows are coming out so soon and we're only just now getting trailers about them, or we still haven't got a trailer for them. But yeah, I'm honestly really excited for the live action Cowboy Bebop. It's looking really good. They bring back Yoko Kanno to do the music, so at the very least, the music's going to be great. Um,
Speaking
very,
of good music,
yeah, I'm actually very optimistic about it, honestly. Of course, I'm still gonna wait for it. I'm gonna watch it no matter what. Like it's because it's on Netflix. And I have Netflix, so I'm gonna check it out. And I'm gonna just like Titans, even if it's bad, I'm gonna power through and then talk shit after I'm done. But if it's good, I'm gonna sing its praises. And hopefully it's really good. There was an Eternal.
Speaking of good music, though,
What?
that game, I forgot what it was called, the one with the graffiti that takes place in the same universe as Lethal Week
Yeah,
that you
Bomber
sent me.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
The music
I
in
was gonna
that.
say something about that. I forgot about that.
The music is really good.
That is amazing music. I was gonna say I forgot what I was gonna say.
But
Never mind. Go ahead.
yeah, there was an Eternals trailer that released a couple weeks ago. That they actually showed two Celestials. Which the design of the Celestials in that isn't similar at all to the design of the Celestial back in the first Guardians movie. So I wonder if they'll change the design of that Celestial or they'll keep that Celestial have the same design. Also, did they say that Eagle was a Celestial?
Yeah, they did. They said Ego was celestial back in first,
The second.
second Guardians. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just feel like that's weird because I feel like he's so different from the other Celestials. I don't know why they called him one. But
He's not a celestial. Like I don't think.
yeah, I know he's definitely not one in the comics. So I don't know why they made
He's just
him.
the living planet.
Yeah, I don't know why they made him one in the movies. I guess they could give the excuse of like because he is the planet. Celestials are literally born from planets, so maybe he's like a premature like celestial. So he didn't actually hatch from the planet, and so he's still stuck within it, and that's why he needs help from like his children to finally emerge. They could go that route. And basically the plot of the Eternals, based on the newest trailer, which was much more exciting than all the other trailers, is that they said that the snap, or I guess the reverse snap, bringing everybody back, caused enough energy for Celestial. That's supposed. Well, this is probably what the plot's going to be, but based on how but it hasn't been confirmed. But the Celestial is probably going in Earth, and they're about to emerge, and they're going to have to try and stop it somehow, as well as the what are they called? The mutant
Deviants.
people, the Deviants.
Yeah.
And they also have the Deviants are going to be villains as well in that. You're not. I don't know how you feel about it now, but you said you haven't been really excited for it. I'm honestly really interested in it.
I wasn't.
I won't say
before
excited.
This new trailer.
I won't say excited, but I've always been very interested in the movie itself because I want to see Marvel movies that just do things different, that just do different stuff. Because they have been really samey for a while, and the shows haven't been hitting as hard as I would like them to, and mostly because of COVID. That's disappointing, but I did still enjoy them. But I still haven't had something that hits really hard. Hopefully, Shang-Chi next week, which I'm super excited for, is that Marvel movie that really gets me reinvigorated. Like I'm not the type of person who's like, oh, I'm tired of Marvel, I'm not watching them anymore, like a lot of people said, and then they got literally a year-long break, and now they're literally back into it. But I'm just like, I just want to see them start to do some new stuff, and Eternals might be that.
I've heard really good things about Shang-Chi so far.
I've heard really good things about Shang-Chi as well, so I'm excited for it. I got my tickets for 9 on Thursday.
I got my tickets for Friday, so
yeah. I couldn't wait for Friday. I was like, I'm seeing this on Thursday. I'm not waiting.
I had to wait for Friday. I had too much stuff going on Thursday.
Yeah. But yeah, Disney The Gallery, the behind the scenes show that they have on Disney Plus, in their second season, which is only 2 episodes versus the first season, which they did 1 episode for every episode of Mandalorian in the first season. But in the second season, they just did 2 episodes. The first episode was talking about, they went through all the first few episodes, and then the second episode was about just the very last episode and how they had to hide Luke's reveal. And apparently,
Plo Koon.
To help keep Luke's reveal a secret, they called him Plo Koon in the script, on set, and made concept art and a 3D model of his head. Because
I'm not gonna lie, that Plo Koon art was kind of fire, and
it looked.
I'm so happy Luke came back, but I can't.
I was like, it would have low key.
I can't lie. I kind of want Plo Koon now. Like I kind of want Plo Koon.
Yeah, he talked about how he did Plo Koon because everybody knows that that's his favorite Jedi. So it would have been somewhat believable that he would want to try and bring back Plo Koon. Because I mean, he only got blown up. That's not death. He could have survived somehow.
I mean, we've seen Jedi survive worse. Like it was literally.
But speaking of which, I really do want them to bring back Mace Windu, because we did not see that man die. We saw him get thrown out a window, but we didn't see this man die. if they were to bring back Mace Windu, I would be so happy. Just in some way, shape, or form, I would want him to come back, even if he's an old man, or if he like turned to the dark side or something, because he's just so angry after what happened. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But yeah, I really want Mace Windu to come back at some point. But yeah, last but not least, Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. It's the movie is releasing December 17th. Honestly, the trailer itself to me wasn't very interesting outside the very, very end, where they teased Green Goblin and straight up showed Dr. Octopus, though I am still interested in the movie. We already know Jamie Foxx will appear as Electro. And based on things in the trailer, we might be getting Sandman. But who do you think the remaining two villains will be if they're doing a Sinister Six like it seems? I'm thinking it could either be Vulture and Mysterio, since we've already seen those two, and Mysterio is a big part of why this is happening in the first place. Or it could be either one of those two and a new one that we haven't seen before, which could be Scorpion, which would be interesting because they teased Scorpion at the end of Homecoming, and we still haven't gotten them yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if
it's more than likely going to be Rhino.
Yeah, I was about to say either Rhino.
2002.
Yeah, it could be either one of those. I'm thinking it's definitely going to be one of them. Is definitely going to be either Vulture or Mysterio. But the last one could be one that we haven't seen before, and that's either Rhino or Scorpion. Well, we technically seen Rhino, but one that we haven't really seen before.
I would say Rhino's.
I don't care what you say. Rhino could work as that giant dude in a suit of armor that's stuck to his body.
Rhino was leaked like a long time ago when like the first whatchamacallits were happening, when the first like discussions and leaks for the movie were happening. Rhino was like one of the first things leaked. I'm like, it's gonna be Rhino.
I hope we see Rhino. That would be cool. Whether we see the other two Spider-Man is still up in the air. I hope we do though.
I don't want to because like spoilers, but like
go ahead. You said spoiler alert.
I mean, like literally, I don't know about. I don't know about Toby because I don't know about Toby because the other one could be Tom because he was really out of focus. But Andrew is 100% in the movie because there's been set photos leaked like with him in like close up like high definition set photos. He's in the movie, and I
hope that's true because
it is true. It's 100% true. Like. When did you see all the screen caps, all the screen cap leaks from it was like showing Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, a closer look at Doc Ock, a closer look at Fox's Electro. Like it was showing those. Did you see those pictures? Because along with those pictures got leaked to Andrew Garfield, and I was freaking out. I was gonna cry. Andrew's my favorite Spider-Man ever. I love Andrew, and I was going to scream and cry because I was so happy.
Holy shit! Wait a minute, I don't believe this. this one.
I can find them again and send them to you because
find them and send them to me, and I'll put them up on screen. But
it was so beautiful. I was ready to cry. I was so happy about that.
But yeah, moving on to video games. Horizon Dawn was delayed as I expected. Honestly, I didn't expect Horizon or God of War to come out this year. It was delayed to February 18th. There was a trailer for Metroid Dread released a couple days ago, and I'm so excited for that game. This is going to be the reason I get a Switch. Because that
you don't have one? I could have sworn you said you got a Switch.
No, I've said 1,000 times I don't have one. You've asked me this before. But
I could have sworn you did.
I was waiting for the Pro, but the Pro never happened. So we're definitely not getting an actual new Nintendo console for at least another 2 years, probably more. So I'm finally gonna get one. I've been contemplating it, but I've been like, you know what? I got some money saved up. I'm gonna get it. It comes out, was October 8th, and Metroid Dread comes out that same day. So I'm gonna get a Switch and Metroid Dread and Breath of the Wild, and I'm gonna have some fun. I'm really excited for that game. I just keep seeing the trailers and it looks so good. I really want a Metroid. I've said this plenty of times before, but a Metroid, it could be live action, but an animated series or movie that's very Alien-esque, that could be really interesting. But
I think an animated series would work better. I feel like animated series would work better for video games all around, except for Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs
I was gonna say
make the perfect live action
video game, because I don't think like The Last of Us will work better in animation than it would in live action.
I wasn't even thinking about The Last of Us. You know, Last
There are a
of Us
lot
is
of
like the
like Metal
last thing on
Gear,
my mind.
like Metal Gear would work amazing in animation, but I think it could also work really well in live action. Like there are some games where it could work in both, and there are some games I think definitely lean towards one more than the other. But yeah, Metroid is definitely one that I think leans more towards animation.
I kind of want an Infamous anime now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, Infamous could be a pretty good anime series. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about when it comes to It Takes Two was that there was a part where you got like a belt. One of the characters got a belt that could make him shrink and make him grow, and it made me go. And as I'm playing it and solving these puzzles with it, I'm like, bro, I really,
Ant-Man.
really want an Ant-Man and the Wasp game. As I'm playing it, I was like, an Ant-Man game would be so fun.
I knew what you were gonna say as soon as you started talking about shrinking and growing. I was like, yeah,
just thinking about the way puzzles could work and combat with the ability to shrink and grow could be really cool. And I would definitely want it to be co-op and for Ant-Man and Wasp be playable characters. And it'd be tons of puzzles and platforming along with the combat. I feel like that could be really, really cool. And I feel like in It Takes Two, the way the size changing works is there's just 3 sizes. Your regular size, you get big, and you get small. And I feel like in this, there should be like a scale of how big and small you could get. Because it's Ant-Man. But yeah, I feel like it would be so cool, an Ant-Man game. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. How you feel about that?
I feel like there's a lot of characters, like a lot of Marvel characters that I want to see get their own video games.
Yeah.
War for Wakanda, which I've been playing the mess out of. I forgot to tell you about that. War for Wakanda really makes me want a Black Panther game. War for Wakanda was great.
I'm sitting there watching gameplay, and I'm like, I don't care about this game, but a Black Panther game.
No, it was amazing. The way it intertwined with the story, the gameplay, the voice acting. I wanted it.
The blueprint's there because a lot of
it is there. They just need like
a lot of what a Black Panther game could be is very similar to the Arkham games.
Yeah, exactly, and it needs to be done. A Black Panther game would be amazing. And every time,
like I think we've talked about this. You said that you aren't the biggest fan of this as I am, but I really think a Iron Man game would be dope. And
I just don't like Iron Man, but
I only like Iron Man because of the MCU. He's not as interesting in a comic, but Iron Man game could be dope. Especially being able to change armors would be great, and having different types of armors. And I would want it, instead of taking place in New York, to take place in like the West Coast somewhere. And a Thor game would be really cool. Every time I think of Thor game, I can't help but think about God of War. And in terms of because he throws his axe and can return it. In terms of combat, it could be really similar to God of War, except actually open world. And you being able to go through different realms would be dope. But yeah, there's so many Marvel characters that should get a game. Black Widow, Hawkeye, like, yeah, there's some characters that can be really good. Daredevil would make a great game.
The Daredevil game would be fire.
Yeah.
I really so badly want an open world like Nova game. It would be a mix of like No Man's Sky with like all the planets and like discovering stuff. And
I want the same thing for Green Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, it would work for either character. Like it would work for either character. Like you go around like different planets, discovering different stuff. Like I want there to be. I'm a really big fan of like not just like puzzle solving, but like
space exploration.
Kind of like treasure hunting in video games. Like Uncharted, one of my favorite video game series, but like not that style of treasure hunting because that's very linear. No, I mean like the new Tomb Raider reboot, like more open world. Like you go out, you discover stuff. In No Man's Sky, one thing I really like is you part of the game, not just the main quest, but also the side quest, is you're going out, you're looking for stuff in particular. You're having to solve mysteries, you're having to learn languages, and you have to like go out and hunt for like specific stones on different planets to go and give you more information. And I really like that type of stuff, like that, like either a side quest or a main quest revolved around traveling the galaxy to like learn different stuff. That's like my dream game for either Nova or Green Lantern. Like it doesn't matter which one, it would be fire either way. Like I want that so bad.
Yeah, that could really dope. But yeah, next we're gonna talk about Black Myth Wukong. They released a new gameplay trailer recently. It's very much like a Chinese version of Sekiro in a lot of ways. At first I thought it was gonna be more character action, but it's actually more Souls-like than I expected. And they always just show tons and tons of bosses in these trailers. And I'm like, how many bosses are there? Because I feel like every trailer they show like 10 bosses. Every single trailer. And there's been like 3 so far, I'm pretty sure. And every time
And it's probably gonna be a really long game too.
yeah, like that dragon boss looked so cool. Especially the animation, and it didn't clip on itself at all throughout that entire boss fight. You would expect something like that to clip on itself, but it didn't. And the way that it moved, it just felt like how you would expect a dragon to move if it was real, a Chinese style dragon. It was really, really cool. Yeah, I'm so because in one of the shows we saw that he takes the powers of characters when he defeats them. What if you could turn into a dragon? That would be dope.
I mean, Wukong is a shapeshifter, so like
yeah. In one of the trailers showed that he could shapeshift into some of the enemies he defeats and use their abilities. So yeah, that could be really cool. That's all I have to say about that. Do you have anything to say about Black Myth Wukong?
I'm getting the game. I'm pre-ordering the game. Actually, I don't care how bad the gameplay is or how bad the combat system is.
Yeah, I'm
that game had me hooked.
For some reviews. I'm not like I'm the type of person that I literally pre-order a game the day before it comes out, only so that I could pre-download it. But that's after watching reviews, because reviews usually come out the day before. But yeah, the last thing when it comes to video, actually no, it's not. We have one more thing. But yeah, the next thing we have is Saints Row Reboot.
Can't wait.
We revealed it. Here's the thing. I have this is gonna be good. So it releases February 25th. I'm excited. A quick rundown. There's a really short blog post on PlayStation's website that describes it a bit. So developed by Deep Silver Volition, Saints Row is a complete reboot and features a brand new setting, brand new characters, and brand new tone, all refreshed for today's gamer. Saints Row is set in Santo, I don't know how to pronounce that, a vibrant fictional city in the American Southwest. It's basically New Mexico, and one of the most varied and diverse city locations ever built for Saints Row game. 3 friends join you on your incredible journey to become self-made. Oh, that was in the sentence. My bad. Nina, the driver and mechanic of Los Penteros, Kevin, who is a DJ and a member of the Idols, and Eli, who came to I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm gonna say New Mexico, to make his fortune as an entrepreneur. You play as the boss and get to decide who you want to be while building your very own criminal empire. Along the way, you must take on 3 brutal enemy factions who currently control New Mexico. Los Panteros are the muscle and power. The Idols are motivated by fame and notoriety. The Martial Defense Technologies are a private military conglomerate. Players will be able to enjoy seamless and untethered 2-player co-op together, whether they play on the PS4 or PS5. Okay, that doesn't matter. But yeah, so a little bit more.
If you watch the trailer, it's so Saints Row.
Yeah, from people who. So here's the thing. We're going to talk about that, but it's going to be co-op, which is dope. It's going to be 2-player co-op. We might have to play it together. They cited John.
I was gonna say that's definitely in the list.
Yeah, they cited John Wick, Baby Driver, and Hobbs and Shaw as their influences, and you can definitely feel that, and that perfectly fits Saints Row as influences. Because those
I love Hobbs and Shaw. Only honestly, Fast and Furious movie
I think that Saints Row could make a really, really good live action movie series, similar to kind of like Fast and Furious, where it's just ridiculous. According to Ryan McCaffrey from IGN, the gameplay will be less like Saints Row 4, which you had superpowers and you were in space, and more like Saints Row the Third, which is my personal favorite. It had the perfect balance of goofy and grounded for me personally, while still being, over the top. But here's where me and a lot of people on the internet agree, but I feel like this is also the reason why it works for you. The main characters to me look kind of bland and boring and are a little too different from the characters from the original series. I'm in a mindset of when you reboot a series like this, it's like they keep saying it's I forget the wording they use, but a different kind of reboot, in a sense, by saying that they completely are wiping the slate clean and starting with a new story, new characters. And I feel like they could have done that while still having a mix of old and new characters. They didn't need to completely do new characters. And according to somebody who actually played it and had a conversation with the developers, the old characters aren't even going to be in the game, which honestly kind of sucks. No judgment. No Johnny Gat is kind of upsetting. I love me some Johnny
I was
Gat.
gonna say Johnny Gat is like
Johnny Gat was definitely the one character in that game that was very like I'm not gonna judge it before actually seeing gameplay. We've seen a little bit of gameplay, but not really too much for me to judge it. We've seen like 5 seconds of gameplay. But and this is where it comes into where I was like, this is probably why it speaks to you a little bit more. It feels like Watch Dogs 2. And Watch Dogs 2, that's probably why you like it a lot, but Saints Row isn't Watch Dogs. So
it's
when I
not.
saw it, I was like, it looks like it'll be a good game, but it doesn't look like it'll be Saints Row. And honestly, I feel like they could have literally called it anything else.
I disagree with that. I feel like
they're using the Saints Row native to bring people in, but I don't know if you've seen a like to dislike ratio on that trailer. Boy, do people dislike that trailer. And I agree. I don't think it looks like Saints Row, but I'm not gonna jump on the gun of it. It's gonna be bad because I don't think it's gonna be bad. I think it's gonna have great gameplay, and I'm hopeful that the characters will actually be really interesting. And I have a feeling that just because it's not like the original Saints Row games doesn't mean it's gonna be bad. It just means that it's gonna be very different. And honestly, I wasn't really looking for something very different. I was looking for something that literally had the same characters from the games, but was rebooted, and you could change the characters up a little bit, add some new characters, but you don't completely just throw the old characters away. I'm hoping that they actually do have, even if it's small, some cameos from older characters. At the very least, Johnny Gat shows up, right? Like I think the game's gonna be good. I'm just a little bit disappointed in the direction they decided to go.
I gotta disagree. I gotta say I think it feels and looks a lot like Saints Row. I like it. It feels and looks like Saints Row to me. I am disappointed, however, that old characters won't show up because I miss Johnny Gat
And
every
for me,
day.
I'm
I miss
like, it
Johnny
feels like
Gat more
Saints
than
Row in terms of gameplay and how wacky it is. But the characters themselves, I actually forgot to mention this. Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kind of Funny literally described it as a bunch of hipster millennials trying to pay off their student debt. That is literally the story. And I was like, that does not feel like Saints Row. Like, I don't think, like, the thing is, I don't think these characters are necessarily bad. I don't think that the story is going to be bad. I just don't think it's going to be Saints Row in terms of story, especially since they got rid of all those characters that made it so interesting. And these characters, they're like Watch Dogs characters, and within the world of Watch Dogs that took place in San Francisco, they fit. A bunch of hipster millennials fit in San Francisco. But in New Mexico, where they're supposed to be gangsters trying to, build a criminal empire, it doesn't work as well for me.
I still don't necessarily agree with that. I understand where you're coming from. I still don't necessarily know.
Like, yeah, I understand why you like it because you love Watch Dogs 2, and I love it too. Not as much.
But I don't see it as Watch Dogs 2 though. That's the thing. I don't see it as
I see the
like,
character. I don't see
that.
That's the thing though. I'm not saying the game. I'm trying to make it clear that the gameplay is Saints Row. The characters are like
Watch Dogs. I know, but even in like the characters I've seen so far, it doesn't look like Watch Dogs to me.
Like the characters look like and feel like Watch Dogs characters in terms of personality and design. But the main character itself, you make the main character. So the main character could look however you want. And I always
so main character video games.
We talked about it before, like back before Cyberpunk came out. I always make a woman in any video game. And I just make a woman version of myself.
I did that in Fallout. I do that in every Fallout I play.
Yeah, but yeah. We talked before about how for you story trumps gameplay. And for me, it's a bit of a delicate balance. I won't stand gameplay if I don't no matter how good the story is, if the gameplay is horrible or if it's not the type of gameplay I like. That's why I was hesitant to play Hades, because the story and characters were dope, but I wasn't sure if I liked the gameplay. Turns out I did. But and I haven't experienced a story that was so bad that I did not want to play the game, no matter how good the gameplay was. And I don't think I ever will, honestly, because most of the games I play is like, and you disagree at this point, as long as the story is okay, which I think the story in Watch Dogs is going to be okay, it's going to be passable. I'll enjoy it enough to where it doesn't take me out of the game. And
I'm trying to.
But the gameplay, I think the gameplay is going to be amazing. Like for me, it's like. Oh, I thought you. Okay.
Because what you just said reminded me. You said, story trumps gameplay, and I do fully agree with that in almost every sense. However, recently, I went to GameStop. Now, just like randomly, like I wasn't there for anything specific. I was just kind of looking around because I don't even really like shop at GameStop anymore. They don't really have anything I want or need typically. But just for old time's sake, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go into GameStop, and I found a game that looked interesting. You know, I love spies, and there's not a lot of spy games around, especially not very good spy games. So like, I'm like, I think I'm gonna pick this up. The story is very interesting. This is some of the worst gameplay I've ever had in my life. I could not get past the first mission of this game called
What is that?
13.
Oh, I've never
It's
heard of
it's it's apparently a remake of a really popular 2003 video game. Um it the gunplay is terrible. You can't aim very well. The aiming is very slow. The gameplay is very slow. The AI is incredibly stupid. And I looked it up, and apparently I'm not the only one having this issue. This game has so many glitches. It's the glitchiest game I've ever played in my life, and I played Cyberpunk on day one. It's the glitchiest game I've ever played in my entire life. The end of the very first mission, you're supposed to pick up a key to unlock a car. The key didn't spawn in anywhere.
Yeah, the reason
Like
for
I didn't get past.
yeah, the reason for me that gameplay trap story is because I mean, one is a video game. I'm gonna have to play it, and also I don't think I'm ever gonna encounter a story that I dislike so much that the gameplay isn't enough to hold me on. Like I haven't experienced that yet. All the games I dislike playing, I think the gameplay is too repetitive and boring, and I don't like the story because it's also boring. Like that's Horizon, Assassin's Creed, the most recent ones to me are just very repetitive and too boring. And there's just too much to do. To me, I told you this before. There's three metrics. There's length of the game, there's the story, and there's the gameplay. The gameplay is too repetitive and boring. I hate it. If it's too long, I hate it. And if the story is boring, I hate it. And that's what all the most recent Assassin's Creed games are to me. Too long, too boring, too repetitive in terms of gameplay. And it was the same thing with Control, except Control wasn't too long. It was just boring story.
Control is no. If there's any game you could say is too long, it's
No,
Control.
is it? No,
I believe
I haven't
that.
played all the way through. So if it's too long, there we go. All three of them. It ticks all three things that I don't like. And Persona 5,
Control's definitely not boring though.
Persona
I don't
5
know
had
what
a,
you mean by that. It's not
the thing
boring
about,
or
and the thing is about Persona 5 is great story. Fun gameplay. It wasn't actually okay gameplay. That's where it starts to fall off for me. Great story, great music. Literally my favorite video game soundtrack. Okay gameplay because turn-based combat, I get bored of it really fast.
I hate
It,
turn-based
it
combat
is
with passion.
it is way too. I also hate it with a passion, but it is way too long. 80 plus hours, still didn't beat it. I was done. I was like, I quit. I quit. I'm not gonna beat this. And then what was it? The Royal version came out, and that's even longer. And I was like, I'm never touching that game. But it was fun while it lasted. But yeah, I like for me, this is why I like hack and slashes so much. The stories in most hack and slashes aren't the best, but they aren't necessarily bad. But the gameplay is always
Hmm.
hey, I'm the ones I play. There are definitely some really bad hack and slashes. The one I play,
I was gonna
like I
say
said,
I played a lot of terrible hack.
like I said, I've because I never play games. I've never played a game, and I don't think I ever will, where the story is so bad that I don't want to play it. So most hack and slashes I play, the stories are good enough for me to continue with it, and the gameplay is superb. I would prefer all of my hack and slashes to be more like God of War, where the gameplay is great and the story is phenomenal. I think Saints Row is going to be great gameplay, good story. Not the best story, not a great story, but a story that serves the gameplay well. But
A story that speaks to you.
I do hope that the story is amazing. I just wish I'm not the fan of the direction they went, but I'm still excited for the game because I've been wanting a new Saints Row for a very long time, and we're finally getting it. You know, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm not going to look a BoJack Horseman in the mouth. Okay, so
I don't get that reference because I haven't seen it.
it's a great show. You should watch it. Um, last but not least,
Everybody's been telling me that.
last but not least, we're going to talk about Superman. we talked about it a little bit, and it was the clip I posted. You've seen it. I posted a clip of us arguing about the Superman game on Instagram, and
I didn't watch it. I just liked it.
yeah, actually, I posted it on Twitter under well, I posted it on Twitter on the main page, and then I reposted it from my main page under the Twitter's what are they called, thread, where I heard about this canceled Superman game. And actually, the person who worked in the game was like, "This was really interesting. I can't wait to hear the longer discussion that you guys have about it." So here we go. We're going to talk about first. I'm going to talk about give you the rundown on this game that was supposed to happen that got canceled, and then we're going to discuss the how a Superman game could or could not actually work. So this canceled Superman game, the goal was to present Super Bowls, like just fights like we've seen in the movies and the cartoon, fighting in the air, destroying buildings, stuff like that. Just quick fighting like Superman is moving super fast and hitting people really hard. The environment was heavily based off of the Superman animated series in terms of how Metropolis looked, and it also was it wasn't going to be open world. It was going to take place in somewhat large areas where you would fight and explore, and then you would go to a different one every chapter of the game. They decided to do smaller areas like that so that they could have really interesting boss battles, rather than just making it open world and you just walk around destroying the whole city. They wanted to touch on notable landmarks across the entirety of Superman's landscape rather than just Metropolis. And they had some concept art that I'll throw up on screen, as well as a video on YouTube that was that showed a bit of the gameplay. And it looked really cool. I like it. Now, me and you argued last week about, you thinking it doesn't work, and I didn't really get my point across as well. I actually had a conversation with my friend Craig, like Friday, where me and him were talking about it. He watched the video, he watched the whole thing because I sent it to him in a group chat we have. And he was like, you know what? I get your points, but I also agree with Amir. And then we talked about it. And I kind of bring him to my side. And my thing is, I agree with you about the whole what Superman stands for, and him just going around destroying buildings is weird. But people do want to destroy buildings. But also, I think a big part of the system of the game could be, and it was an old Superman game that did this before, we could have that karma system where your goal is to not let people get hurt. Much like in the Spider-Man games, like how you swing around and randomly you'll get alerted to a crime from his radio or with Miles from his app. And Superman has super hearing, so you just fly around and he'll hear something.
I was gonna say, you don't need to app. Yeah. You just
go around and you go and try to stop it. I imagine something like that. And your goal is obviously to protect the city, so you don't want to destroy it. But in some fights, you might destroy it a little bit, and you have to try and prevent that as best as you can as you fight these villains. I feel like that could be a part of the gameplay, and that's what will add a challenge to the gameplay, where you're playing as Superman, this god on the planet Earth. That's what will add that challenge to a game where, and realistically, it shouldn't be much of a challenge for him. I feel like a Superman game could really work if you play with the idea of him having to protect the city and not destroy it. And also, sometimes it will get destroyed because you'll fight somebody like Doomsday or somebody just as powerful, where you're trying your best not to let the city get destroyed, but it will, because this person is just as strong as you and you're having a hard time trying to beat them.
Now I have a counter argument for that.
Hold up, before you go. With the karma system, it could be like, essentially, you don't actively try and be evil. You can, I would say I would want there to be an option where you can, if you really want to, you can actively be an evil Superman and get like a bad ending or something like that. But you also could be not doing it on purpose. And whenever you fly by or stop on the ground and walk by civilians, it changes how they feel about you. If you're basically being, even if you're not doing it on purpose, you're kind of being evil, people are gonna be really scared of you. When you fly by them or you land on the ground or you're fighting around them, they're gonna think they're gonna die because you've been letting people die the entire game. So people are afraid. But the more you save people, the better you do, the higher, positive karma you get, the more people love you. You're flying around, people are cheering for you, stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead.
Make the train sequence yourself, the Invincible train scene, remake it on your own. Just kind of stand there.
But yeah, this could also work with Invincible game.
I was saying an Invincible game would work a lot better in that regard than the Superman game would, because Invincible, and it always feels weird to me whenever I go back and reread Invincible, because I've read some parts of Invincible.
They destroy.
It's like he cares. He like states that he cares about innocent lives all the time. He fights people because they're endangering innocent lives. He doesn't do anything to try and take a fight out of a city. Like, he always kind of fights in for some reason, the middle of the populated area.
slight spoiler alert for Invincible, but like he makes so many mistakes.
Oh yeah.
He makes
Oh yeah.
so many mistakes. It is ridiculous. He is constantly messing stuff up and making really dumb mistakes. Like, what is it? Dinosaurus is one of the best villains in that comic.
I love dinosaurs. I wouldn't even really call him a villain. I wouldn't even really call him a villain.
Like Dinosaurus he's an anti-hero.
He's an antagonist.
Dinosaurus,
Yeah.
yeah, Dinosaurus is one of the best characters in that comic. I really love Dinosaurus, and I can't wait. It's gonna be a while, but I can't wait till we get to Dinosaurus.
It's definitely gonna be a while before you.
Yeah, that's gonna be like a season 4 or 5, like if they get that far. Villain. Oh, is it Langstrom Levy? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the two
Langstrom Levy.
Yeah, the 2 L's messed me up. But Langstrom Levy, he's definitely gonna show up next season, and he's gonna be cool. Like we talked about before, I really want Phil Lamar, and he himself wants to voice Langstrom Levy. I really want Phil Lamar to voice him. Phil Lamar would be perfect. But yeah, how did we talk about
Langstrom Levy was like one of the first comic book villains, and I've read comics for a long time. All I do really is read comics, and Langstrom Levy is one of the first comic book villains I can say I really hated, really hated.
Like as a person,
yeah. Like I was like,
I love
and every time he showed up,
I love him because of that
panel.
Yeah, he was
what?
His whole reasoning, it fits Invincible so much. His reasoning is so stupid, but it's so great because of how stupid it is. He wants
it's like at first it was cool.
He makes a mistake.
Like, now I'm like,
and I like it because you don't know if he literally doesn't, you don't know if he's just blaming him. Like sometimes you can't tell if he's literally just blaming Invincible for his mistake or if he literally believes that Invincible is the reason that it happened. Sometimes you can't tell. And I love that about it. You can't tell if he's literally just blaming him for his mistake or if he believes Invincible messed it all up. It is really good. The Mahler twins are also great.
The Mahler twins are amazing, and I was so scared that they would die because there were so many moments in the comic where you're like, oh, there's no way they're surviving, but they lived, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Because it makes, like, I already said spoiler alert. I'm gonna pick the spoiler button up, but like, I think at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm remembering this wrong, but at one point, both of the twins die, but there was a third one that was made just in case. And the same thing happens with Duplicate. She doesn't actually let her like original body go out there and fight. She had like a backup body, and she got that idea from her brother. Yeah, that's gonna be great when people think that she's dead.
It was funny because I was reading the comments on the issue that she died, and people were like, "You'd really think she'd be smart enough to put a backup body?" And then, like a few issues later, she's died.
That's exactly what happens. Invincible is so great. I need to reread it at some point. But yeah, it would work really well for an Invincible game. I really want an Invincible game now because Invincible game could do everything you want from a Superman game, but you could be a little bit more violent. But yeah, I want a Superman game specifically. Like, you have anything else about it that you think wouldn't work, or like things you think could work?
I think what could work is if you want to do something with the karma system, which I actually did think about. You could do something where like even when you have giant boss fights against like Doomsday and stuff, you would have to work harder, but you can do it so it wouldn't destroy the city. Like you can get the fight outside of the city and stuff like that, or you can put him in space or something like that. That would be a very big game and would probably take all 2 terabytes of my storage, but but I want like that.
No, it depends on how far compression technology gets by the time they actually decide to make a Superman game. And
I mean, No Man's Sky is one of the smallest games on my system, but that game, I don't understand how it's that small because like it's real time flight. Like if it would take you like 24 hours to get from one area to another at sublight speed, it's taking 24 hours in game unless you use a
we can talk all day about how both Marvel and DC are really sleeping on their biggest characters and not making video games about them. They just keep making Batman and Spider-Man. Like, bro, I get it. They're both literally 2 of the most popular characters on the planet. Superman is one of the big 3 in terms of popularity. And also a Wonder Woman game would be great. A Green Arrow game would be great. A Flash game, people think just like Superman would be really difficult, but I think it could work.
I think a Flash game could work easier than a Superman game could, honestly.
Is it? Yeah, me too. I think like Infamous Second Son, there's one point where you have a power that is literally super speed. And and at one point you have to get to the point where you unlock it, but you unlock the ability where you can just run forever. but before it was like in quick bursts, but now you could do it forever. And naturally with the Flash, you would want it to last forever. But also when he's fighting actual villains, it would be like Infamous Second Son, where he stops running and he starts, just punching them really fast. Like it could work.
It could absolutely work. I don't.
I think, if I'm mistaken, did you say you wanted a question game or something like that?
I do want the question game, or like even like a Tim Drake game.
Yeah, I talked about it last week.
Just something where it's like heavy detective.
Yeah, I want a question series on HBO Max.
I want a question series. I want to question everything. They just need more with the question.
And eventually would lead up to his death and Renee Montoya becoming the question. I feel like I would love a question show so much.
I want to see Vic Sage come back though, because every time Vic Sage comes back in comic, because he's like, he died and then Renee Montoya was the question, and then he just mysteriously came back to life, and like they never explained it. He was just there one day, and I'm like, that kind of fits his character, but like,
it's like
I want an explanation.
And I
didn't. Why is he back?
I forgot that we had a whole section called Untapped Potential, because that's essentially what I was doing last episode when I was talking about how like that whole universe of the essentially the some of the most famous woman characters from Gotham just having their own movies could have worked, and they could have slowly built up Renee Montoya to the point to where then there was a question series, and then like a couple of seasons in, the main question dies and she becomes a question. Like there's so much potential. Especially with games, there's so much they could do with their characters.
I'm already thinking about ways that could bring Vic Sage back too in a TV show. Like I've already got it. I've already got how they could bring Vic Sage back and then keep Renee Montoya the question. I've already got it in my head.
Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about Tim Drake is that there are so many bisexual women in comics, but not nearly as many men. Literally, it's only Constantine. Literally, it's only
Constantine and Deadpool is pansexual, and that's about it.
With women, you get like Harley Quinn, Catwoman,
Poison Ivy.
Catwoman, I think I'm not sure if she's bi or just gay. I know Harley Quinn is bi.
No, she's bi.
I'm not sure Poison Ivy is. But yeah, Talia al Ghul,
Poison Ivy's bi.
Catwoman. You get so many, but then when it comes to men, it's just like, nope, they're all straight or gay. There's no bi. There's no in between. There's one or the other. But yeah, you should.
Speaking of, I want a Midnighter animated series. I just thought about that. I've seen like the first episode. That was it.
Did you like it, or did you just not like it and stop watching?
No, I liked it. I just wasn't watching W at the time.
Yeah, you should.
Or no, I think that was when it was only on didn't it like start on HBO Max only, and then it went over to CW?
It started on the DC Universe app, and then it went to HBO Max.
Oh yeah, I didn't have the DC Universe app.
And then now it's on CW, but it's holding up.
I don't have TV no more. I don't watch TV anymore. You
can watch all the CW shows on their website with ads.
Yeah, I stopped doing that because I started watching Batwoman, and like there was an ad every 15 seconds, and I didn't want to deal with that.
It wasn't that frequent. They were like as frequent as the commercials are.
It was more. It wasn't every 15 seconds. That was obviously an exaggeration.
I mean, if you want to wait for the second season to end up on HBO Max, that's fine. But the first season is on there. Right?
That's probably what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, the first season is currently on there. I'm waiting. I stopped watching Superman and Lois, so I fell behind. I'm just waiting for them to add the rest of add all of it on HBO Max so I can finish watching it. Superman and Lois.
You did watch the Superman.
But yeah, that's all I got.
You should watch the Superman. You should watch Man of Tomorrow.
I'm gonna watch it eventually.
It's on HBO Max.
I'm gonna watch it eventually.
That's my new favorite Superman movie of all time. You need.
Also need to finish watching Superman anime series because I started rewatching it, and then I think I got to like episode 4 or something, and then I stopped watching it.
Only episodes of Superman the animated series I saw were the episode where he races the Flash, and the episodes with Talia al Ghul in it because I love Talia, and that's really the only reason.
Why Talia al Ghul?
She had some kind of like magical artifact that she was getting for Ra's al Ghul, and it like affected Superman, and she was actually able to beat Superman with magical artifacts.
Okay.
I love Talia. Talia's just so cool. Like there needs to be more Talia al Ghul content too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's cool. I'm just thinking about the horrible thing she did to Batman. And I was like,
that was literally, I don't know if you want to put this on pod or not. That was literally one, incredibly out of character for her. 2, it's non-canon. Like that's completely non-canon. Okay, so it wasn't canon in the first place.
So they changed how Damian was born because it makes more sense that Batman, like I would believe Batman doesn't use condoms.
Okay, no, I would not believe that. Like, that's the one thing about that I would never believe. No,
No,
originally,
his
the
pullout game
original
is strong.
conception.
I guarantee you Batman's pullout game is strong.
You really think all the contingencies he has, you think he
You know
wouldn't
what?
plan a
Batman,
contingency for?
here's the thing. Batman probably has a vasectomy and he has some sperm frozen in a freezer in the Batcave somewhere, just in case he wants to make a child.
Are we really having this conversation?
Yes. And here's the thing.
No, the original story.
Like she broke into the Batcave, she stole the samples, and then she went impregnated herself, and then she had Damian. Okay, this is staying in. I'm not cutting this.
The original story was that Batman and Talia were in love and he got her pregnant that way, but because I don't remember if it was either because he wouldn't take over the League of Assassins for Ra's al Ghul or he would there was something that happened that basically he was like, "Oh, Talia, we can't be together," yada yada yada. He didn't know that Talia was pregnant. Talia either gave the boy up for adoption or like aborted the child. I don't remember. Then I don't remember who wrote it. There's this whole article on it. I've got to remember to send it to you.
Honestly,
There's a whole article on it.
I don't even care if it's out of character. I think it really works for the story the way it happened originally. Honestly, that's the one that most people know.
But then,
that's the one that most people know, and when they think about how Damian was created, they go, "Yep, that's what happened. She slipped something in that man's drink." That's how.
But that's so out of character and so evil for a non-evil character. Like that, I don't like that at all. There's also a lot of like.
For me, I think it works within her.
There's also a lot of racial subtext in there that does not sit well with me. I'm not cool with that one.
They never display the race of Talia very well, I feel like.
It's stated, and they're doing a lot better job of it now. Like now, if you go back, like ever since Rebirth, and I think late New 52, that like she's been Middle Eastern, which is good. I'm glad they're doing that. But she's always been stated Middle Eastern.
Yeah, because
and like had white skin, and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
So is Raish also Middle Eastern, or is he white and got with a Middle Eastern woman?
Raish is Middle Eastern. He got with Talia is mostly Middle Eastern, but her mom was Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, Raish was Middle Eastern.
Yeah. So also Damian 100% should have an accent.
He should have an accent.
He should have an accent.
I feel like he should have an accent when he like gets angry, but like
because I read a lot of fan fiction. I read a fan fiction where he had an accent.
I feel like he should have an accent.
I feel like he would. They might low-key actually teach him how to not have an accent. So
I was gonna say because he's part of the League of Assassins. His whole thing is blending in with like other like areas and everything. Like I feel like he would have an excellent American accent, but like when he gets angry, he would slip up. Like if he's yelling at like Nightwing or something, he slips up and like the accent comes out.
Like it threw me off, and I low-key forget that most Twi'leks have a French accent. In Rebels,
it's Russian.
What?
It's Russian. It's a Russian accent.
Oh, yeah, it's French. It's
Russian.
French. It's definitely
Russian. You can look this up on Wikipedia. It's Russian.
You're insane.
There's a Russian accent.
There is no way we're having this argument.
You can look this up. It's a Russian accent. You're the first person I've ever seen that says French.
God, it is French.
It's Russian.
Anyway, Hera got angry when she was talking to her father, and then her French accent came out. I cannot believe you think it's Russian. It is not Russian.
Oh my god.
I don't believe you. It's not Russian. I don't even know how to spell Twilight.
They're supposed to be Russian, but apparently it's French voice act. No, it's supposed to be Russian though.
It's not. Every time I hear
it's supposed to be
very clearly a French accent.
Supposed to be Russian. I'm going to continue to say they're Russian.
But yeah, so
they're Russian.
Let's end this podcast. Why we got to end on a argument 2 times in a row?
I would say at this point, it's just kind of tradition. It's about as tradition as Harry Potter's. We never finished the Tim Drake conversation.
We did.
We didn't, because you were asking me for recommendations, and I started giving recommendations, but I started talking about Chuck Dixon, and then I never finished the recommendation.
Well, you can give it to me later, but okay. I'm Dijon. You can find my ads.
Oh, I'm Amir. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you can find my ads below me. You can find Amir's ad below him and the Musket's ad below that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
Did you ever play Shadow of the Tomb Raider?